Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Chat with Ryan Frank. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you all are having a wonderful week. You've made it to midweek. Way to go. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Chat. So glad you're here. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, or you're catching this on the podcast, I want to thank you for tuning in. If you have a question, please text it to 833-792. Right there's the number 6372. 833-792-6372. I'm excited. We have some guests in the coffee chat today, some kids pastors, some that you may know and some that you may not know, and I'm excited to introduce them to you here in a little bit. We're all learning a lot during this pandemic. I was just talking to a youth pastor on the phone right before we jumped online about how crazy 2020 has been and how it has just totally, I had no idea 6 months ago we would be where we are now. And I'm so proud of you, how you are learning, you are adapting, you're stretching yourself. A lot of you through this, you have learned to delegate better than you've ever delegated because you've been forced to delegate things that you just aren't able to do. And I want to commend you and thank you for that. One thing, there's a lot that you can delegate. And we teach this a lot, and I talk to you a lot about this. As a kids pastor, as a ministry leader, there's a lot that you can delegate, and there's a lot that you should be delegating. In fact, there's probably stuff that we're all doing that we should be delegating to someone else. But there is something that you can't delegate. Now, there are things you can. You can delegate setup. You can delegate planning. You can delegate execution of certain projects. In fact, if you really understand your own strengths and weaknesses, one way that you delegate is you'll delegate to compensate or to complement your own strengths and weaknesses. So if you're not by nature an organized person, you're going to want to delegate as much of the organizational stuff as you can, right? If you're not really techie, you're going to try to delegate out as much of the techie stuff as you can. But there's one thing you can't delegate during a time of pandemic like this, or during a time when things are normal. And that one thing that you cannot delegate is the vision that God has given you in the direction in which God wants your ministry to go. Normally, when God gives a vision, God gives a vision to a leader. And as much as you can delegate out, and I'm a big fan of delegating, you need to be delegating. And during a time like this, when everybody's a little crazy and ministry looks a lot different, it's important to learn to delegate. But you can't delegate vision. Now, one thing I've loved about this pandemic is I've loved how it's forced us to do things like have more conversations online. I'm talking to more kids pastors today and during this pandemic than I ever have. And one reason is because of these daily coffee chats. We're jumping online every day and we're talking. And I love following the conversations in the I Love KidMin Facebook group. We have 600 brand new students in KidMin Academy that I'm getting to know. And we're getting to know each other. And as I talk to kids pastors, whether it's in KidMin Academy or our Facebook group or during chats like this, or whether it's one-on-one, whether we're talking on the phone, like I told you I was talking with a youth pastor prior to going live on the coffee chat today. I love asking good questions and trying to figure out, hey, what are some things that you're doing that are right? And, as you study churches and as you study KidMin's children's ministries that are really growing. And even during a pandemic, they're growing and good things are happening. One thing that they have in common is that they have a leader that has a vision and is acting on that vision. That's acting on that vision. And I know it's difficult sometimes to act on that vision because sometimes God gives you a vision or he gives you these dreams or these ideas and they seem so big and they're like, how can this ever become a reality? Sometimes you look inside of yourself and the that insecurity and that fear and that doubt and past failures are like, can I really do this? But this is where faith steps in, where you understand that you serve an amazing, mighty God. And where God gives you vision, he also gives the provision, right? And you understand that if God has really given me this vision, he is going to give me the provision to make it happen. And I don't have to rely on myself. I don't have to get overwhelmed by the ginormosity, I don't know if ginormosity is even a word, of the project or the idea or the dream, because God is going to provide along the way. So during this pandemic, I hope that you're taking some time to get a fresh vision from the Lord on, God, what would you have for this ministry in the weeks and in the months to come? And then as God begins to give you these ideas, and as God begins to give you this vision, act on it, and lean in on him as you do. Our first guest today on the coffee chat is Tish Striegel. Tish, jump on here with me. Tish is a Kidmin Academy graduate.
First class.
Was it the first class? I was going to ask you. I knew it was at the beginning. Class number 1. That was like 5 years ago.
No, a long time.
That was an exciting first class. That was probably my favorite class. We've had some good classes, but something about that first class.
Yes.
Was pretty neat. So were you able to come to Cincinnati for the graduation that we had for that first class?
I was.
You were at the Creation Museum.
Yes.
That was a fun event.
That was, we actually used to live in Northern Kentucky. So going back there was a real treat. And that's the first time we actually got to see the Creation Museum. So it was
fun.
It was really nice.
That's cool. And now, Tish, you have some people on your team that are enrolled in Kidmin Academy.
We have 3 right now. We've already had 1 already graduate, and then we have 3 in the class. 2 of them just finished up classes, and 1 will finish up September.
Love it. Thank you for enrolling those people in Kidmin Academy. I hope it's been a blessing to them.
They love it.
Tish, tell us about your church. Tell us about your ministry.
Well, I've been in ministry for over 25 years now. And I've seen the ups and downs of it. I've seen the church grow. I've seen children's ministry grow. I think, especially during this pandemic time, we are seeing our church grow more than ever, which is surprising. Really? Yes.
How are you? In what areas are you seeing that growth? What do you mean?
Just overall, I mean, our giving is way up. Our online participation is way up. We're seeing people connect with other people. It's just been an amazing, refreshing time for our church.
I love it. What's God been teaching you, Tish, during this pandemic?
Well, I want to, if it's okay, I want to start off with the year. I started off the very last part of 2019 on New Year's Eve. My father passed away, so we ushered in the new year with great sadness. And then we had some bad news with our granddaughter, her name is Lucy as well. And so we've been dealing with a lot of that. And then our last service was March 8th. So I was angry and I was upset and I was worried, but after giving all that to God, God has really, really opened up my eyes and has taught me so many things, our leadership included. But the most important thing is that hurry is an enemy. And that we have learned to slow down, and that hurry can be a destroyer, and it can be a destroyer of relationships. So this pandemic has forced us to slow down and to really listen to God, listen to these voices. There are a ton of news bulletins out every day, Facebook, I mean, negative and positive, and you can your mind can get totally drowned in all these voices, but it's just disciplining yourself to listen to God in all of this. So just, again, slowing down. Now, Jesus had a pace, and his pace was slow. So
well, you're right.
Yeah.
We don't get that as leaders. I think we just, I don't know. I feel like we do genuinely have a lot to do, but we also just, I don't know. I think we have this false idea that we've got to be extremely, extremely busy, and it's got to be a rat race, and slowing down is good. Yeah. How has God used this pandemic to kind of reshape the vision that God's given you for your children's ministry in the months and in the time to come?
It's going to be a new normal. We're saying new normal. If you look at it, hindsight is 2020. So when we go into 2021, we're going to definitely take what we have learned from all of this and put it into our vision for next year. I would have to say just encouraging and giving the parents more tools, because times like this, the parents are the example. They are the walking, talking Jesus in the kids' life right now. So making sure that the parents have just the confidence that they can have conversations with their children outside of the church walls.
Yeah. What is one or two more questions?
Yes.
What have you found has been an effective way to connect with your kids and your families during this time?
Well, we do the normal Zoom meetings. We do a lot of texts. We do a lot of phone calls. We've done some drive-bys, celebrating, the milestones. I mean, a lot of kids have birthdays now. Some of them are graduating from kindergarten and preschool, and all of these things are huge things in a kid's life. But now we're seeing that family and friends can't always attend these things. So just making sure that we do shout outs and just being in contact with them. That's just the main goal, is, again, reestablishing those relationships of more than just passing in the hallways and saying hi and giving a high five. Now it's become more with intent, more intentional, and again, just building relationships with these families.
Yeah. Now, what state are you in?
We are in Indiana.
You are in India. That's right. Okay. So have you guys started regathering?
We have not. And I'll tell you again, we're not in a hurry. I think we're tentatively doing August the 2nd when school starts back up. Our school starts up in the end of July.
Okay.
So we are going to start meeting after school starts, only because, again, we want families to be able to feel confident and feel secure in returning, and we be able to offer the children's ministry to them. Because right now we can't give the children's ministry, we can't open it up because of Governor Holcomb's recommendations.
Gotcha. Tish, thank you for what you do to serve kids and families. Thank you for being such a great part of our KidMin community. You're a blessing. Keep up the great work, and thanks for joining me on the coffee chat today.
I thank you so much for having me. So blessed to be able to do this.
Well, thanks for saying yes when I asked. So I appreciate it. You did a great job. All right. Be blessed. Thanks, Tish.
Thank you.
All right. Love it. Jasmine, good morning. Tammy Donahoe, good morning from California. Welcome. Brenda, good morning. Robin, good morning. Catherine, good morning. Good to see everybody here today. I'm excited about our next guest as well. We have a couple more heading your way. Remember, if you want to talk about anything, if you have any questions, give me a text at 833-792-6372. All right, Stephanie, why don't you jump on here with me? Stephanie Freemyer is a children's pastor just about 5 minutes from where I'm at right now.
That's right.
What's going on, Stephanie?
Hey, good to see you.
You too. How's life with the Freemyers?
Yeah, we're doing well. We've got 2 young boys. They're home and happy and digging holes in our backyard. So
I've seen that on Facebook. You guys are building a barn or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, good quarantine project. Adding on to your barn in the back.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
Love it. So Stephanie Freemyer, is part of the I Love Kidmin community. She and her husband taught at MegaCon a year ago, and she's just a great children's pastor. If you listen to much of my training, you probably have heard me brag her up because she does a great job. Stephanie, tell us a little about College Wesleyan Church. Tell us about your children's ministry, and tell us what your children's ministry looked like prior to all of this, and tell us what it's looked like over these last 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah, I loved what you were saying at the beginning about having a vision and not necessarily knowing how that's going to happen, but taking the steps anyway. And I definitely feel like that's what I have experienced. Even maybe some of what I've learned in this pandemic is oh goodness, I guess I don't even know how long it's been anymore. I think it's been 3 years that we have moved here to Marion. And in that time have slowly formed a vision for our children's ministry here, which has been to train our children into worship, not out of worship, to train them into worship. And so
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's the question, right? What do I mean by that? And I don't even think I know completely what I mean by that. I guess that's
you just
part
want
of
them
what
to really experience
what
it means to worship the Lord.
Well, right. So we want our kids to be full participants in corporate worship. When we say, this is the word of our Lord, thanks be to God, we want the kids to know that response and to feel like they can participate. When we sing, we want them to know the words and to participate in the singing, in the praise with the corporate body, rather than separating them where the rest of the church is doing this, but the kids are doing this. We really wanted to see that unite, where when they had opportunities to be in corporate worship with the rest of the congregation, they felt like they belonged. And so that kind of became our vision. But there were all these obstacles, right, that stood in the way between our children's ministry and that actually happening. And you mentioned the big dream. Of course, we had the big dream, but how do we even get there? I had no idea. So it's just been step by step. What's the next thing we can do for this? So, we started teaching the adult songs in the children's ministry. Then we slowly introduced the liturgy and teaching the Apostles' Creed or whatever other things that our church does in our tradition. We started implementing that in Splash, and I think slowly have just taken those steps of, okay, what does this look like? Knowing that there were all these obstacles that actually hindered the kids from being in the service with their parents.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we just.
So Stephanie, as you look back, you've been at your church for 3 years. You've made a lot of changes, positive changes. Splash is the name of your children's ministry. A lot of changes in Splash. And when you were going through this, making these changes, I know you're trying to figure this out and navigate as you go. But now that you look back, what do you feel like were one or two things that, like, man, that was one thing that really helped, like, make these positive changes? Looking back, what would you say?
Yeah, we have definitely, we have definitely seen God guiding us each step. Especially now looking back, we can see how God has prepared us for this time that we're in now. Some of those beginning pieces were getting team leaders in place, finding people who would fully invest in the kids. And now here we are in this pandemic, and the biggest thing is our parent or our children are missing their Sunday school teachers. Because they know them. They're their Sunday school teacher every week. And I love that that's what we're missing. We're missing that connection with the people that they know.
I love that too.
So I think that was probably the first piece that we felt God leading us to, and has been the most helpful through all the all the changes, not just this year, but, even last year and the year before, just having the team leaders in place, I think has been the most helpful.
That's cool.
Overall piece.
That's cool. You've really empowered people to own their ministries and to build those relationships, so it's not all hanging on you and your assistant or whatever. Stephanie's at College Wesleyan Church, Marion, Indiana. Look it up sometime. They've got a great website, a great growing ministry. I was there a few months back, and there were chairs set up in the lobby in the back of the auditorium because y'all are just growing like crazy, so you've had to add chairs. So to look it up, what's the website for College Wesleyan?
collegewest.com.
collegewest.com. Look that up. Now, Stephanie, we have kind of been talking about vision today, and I cannot talk about vision without asking you to share about the big vision God gave you for something beyond just your children's ministry at College Wesleyan Church. It's a big vision. It's been neat to watch how God has blessed it. Tell us about it.
Yeah. I'm wearing it.
Hey, Wonder Space.
I didn't even plan that. So Wonder Space is, I think, what you're referring to.
Yes, it is.
This, in our community, Grant County is #1 in the state of Indiana for child poverty. Mm-hmm. And we're out of 92 counties. We are 90. I always get this wrong. We are 91 out of 92 counties in quality of life and mental health. And I think these statistics really laid heavy on my heart as someone who cares for children. And play has a lot to do with quality of life, has a lot to do with child development. And we are cold and rainy for 8 months out of the year here in Indiana. And we don't have a natural playful environment. I think Michigan is cold for a lot of the year, but they've got a playful environment with hills, and, mountains and some fun things to do there with the lakes. And we don't have that here.
We don't have that.
So our environment isn't naturally playful. And then we're in Marion, which we don't presently have any indoor play options in our community. So we looked at this need and some of the statistics that surrounded it and just felt like, hey, if we could offer some indoor play here in Grant County, we might be able to impact family health and mental health. So we started. But I think this goes back to that big vision without really knowing the end goal. We have ideas, we have dreams. Man, I'd love to see us in a permanent building in our community someday, but we just don't have the funding for that. So we're mobile. We pack everything up, all of our play equipment. We pack it up onto a 26-foot trailer. And we drive the trailer around town to different churches. And we set up what we call pop-up play days. We pop up in a church that's willing to host us. We set up all of our play equipment, and then we invite families in. We've been doing this for 2 years, one full play season, and have impacted over 2,000 families.
Wow.
Pop-up play days. So it's exciting to see us hitting a need and getting into the community. But I go back to the whole thing, like we talk about vision, and I'm always like, oh man, I'm a terrible person for this job because I don't know the vision. I know the idea, but I don't know the vision, and I don't know how to get us there. But again, I mean, I would just say God knows.
God knows, that's it.
And he has guided us step by step. And it's just been a faithful, what's the next step? What's the next door that's open? And let's start walking through it and see where it takes us. And trust that God's going to get us there.
Well, way to go in following that vision and taking these big steps of faith. And God has been providing. You talked about that beautiful 26-foot trailer, which is a nice trailer, all vinyled up on the side and everything. If someone wants to learn more about that, do you have a Facebook group or a web page for Wonder Space?
Yeah, you can check out wonderspaceplay.com.
Okay.
And that'll get you linked to where you need to go.
We'll put that in the comments, wonderspaceplay.com.
Yeah.
There it is. Yep. That's a cool T.
Yeah.
And we will, if you have any questions about that, or you want to pick Stephanie's brain, I know she would love to discuss this with you. It's a neat vision, and maybe this is something that would be a help to your community. Wonderspaceplay.com. Stephanie, thanks for joining me on the coffee chat. Keep up the great work over at College Wesleyan, and
thank you, Ryan. Thanks for all you do.
Tell Pastor Steve and all those good people over there, Ryan Frank said hi.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie. See ya.
Bye.
Great coffee chat so far. Man, this has been fun. Before Corey jumps on with me, I want to do something fun with you. I'm going to share my screen. We've got brand new Father's Day stuff hitting kidsmatter.com. Okay, this is one of the games. It's called Who's the Daddy? Now, there are several Father's Day games that you can do on Zoom, on your next pre-recorded service. Those of you that are starting to regather, you can do them. And there's more coming. There's a Father's Day lesson that I think is going to hit the site today. This is a simple trivia game. Who's the daddy? And the way this works is you've got to guess who is the Bible daddy. Let's see how we can do here. I want you to answer in the comments. Answer in the comments. Okay, type in your answer. Number one, Cain and Abel are the first brothers named in the Bible. Who is the daddy? Is it Larry, John, Adam, Moses? Okay, type your answer in. Type your answer in. Unless you're driving. If you're driving, please don't type your answer in. Cain and Abel are the first brothers named in the Bible. Who is the daddy? Adam. Did you get it right? Okay, see, I'm gonna randomly pick a few of you that are playing this game right now. I'm gonna send you this later on today for free. I'll pick 3 of you that are participating, and I will send it to you for free, but you've got to type your answers in. Here's number 2. There were 7 sons and 3 daughters who all died in a storm. Later, 10 more children were given to this daddy. Who is the daddy? Is it Abraham, Job, Levi, or Andrew? Abraham, Job, Levi, or Andrew? Who's the daddy? Job. Did you get it right? Okay, we're going to do one more. Number 3, Isaac was the promised son. His mom, Sarah, was 90 years old when he was born. His dad was 100. Who is the daddy? See why this is a great Father's Day game. And it could be for the whole family. It doesn't just have to be for the kids. Is it Abraham, Moses, Jesse, Noah? Type your answer in. Type your answer in. Andy, in 1 hour, 12:30 Eastern, we picked 3 people that played this game and that sent them this game for free. 3 people that participated. It's Abraham. Very good. This game is called Who's the Daddy? There's 10 questions. Super, super fun game. Let me show you one other thing. This is, okay, I think I can get this to work to show you. Let me share my screen. Corey, I'm going to bring you on in just a minute, so hang tight with me for just a minute. Okay, there it is. Okay. This is the Father's Day lesson that should be on kidsmatter.com later today. It's called Sons and Daughters of the King. It's actually a lesson about being as God's children, we are adopted by God, and He is our Heavenly Father. Great Father's Day lesson. I'm super pumped about this. It was written by Amber Pike, the editor of Kids Matter magazine. It's got a lot of different components that will work not only for those of you that are starting to regather, but this is something that you can definitely use in your Zoom or your pre-recorded service. Sons and Daughters of the King. Don't forget, friends, to sometime today, jump over to kidsmatter.com. We've got a lot of brand new stuff hitting the site every day. There's one thing. We've got, I think there are 8 of these really cool object lesson videos like that. We've got a bunch of quarantined activities. This Would You Rather second edition is one of our most popular downloads this week. We've got some new games. A new game that was just added yesterday, Never Have I Ever. Never Have I Ever. A bunch of different things pop up on the screen. If the kids have ever done it, or how does this work? Let me see, I forget. If you've done whatever the screen says, you lose a leg. So you have to like stand and hold one leg like this, okay? And then when you run out of legs, you have to sit down. So the goal is you want to be the last one standing. Okay, it's a fun, simple game. $5 download. If you could scroll down to seasonal, here are some of those Father's Day things. More stuff coming even today. We've got a brand new 1-minute countdown that the boys are going to love, especially the preteens. It's called the Stunt 1-minute countdown video. Still have this There Is Hope worship song for free. This goes away today, so make sure you've downloaded this if you haven't already. There's a lot of those object lesson videos, a lot of good stuff at Kids Matter. Go check it out. Corey Jones. You know Corey Jones from the I Love Kidmin podcast. You know Corey Jones from the I Love Kidmin Facebook group. You know Corey Jones from Kidmin Nation MegaCon. You know Corey Jones. He's an awesome next gen pastor. What's up, Corey Jones?
Not too much, Mr. Ryan. Frank, how are you doing on this Wednesday?
Did you break into the church office to do this with me today?
No, I'm allowed to be here now. Georgia's opened up, and as a lead team person, I'm here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Nice.
I come in on Monday though, just because I can.
Nice, good for you. Last time I was on Zoom with you, I remember you told me you had to literally sneak in the back door and go up the back stairs so nobody would see you. But you made it.
You kept that a secret pretty good. Thanks, bud.
I did. I shared it with the only 23,000 people part of the Facebook group. I don't think anybody will tell anybody that works at your church.
No, have you started to think through our celebration for 25,000 people?
We're gonna, a friend of mine named Corey Jones and I were just talking about this the other day, and we've got a good idea. I need to loop Andy in on it because it's going to take Andy's help, but I think it's going to be a good one.
I think we got some good ideas in the works.
I think we've got some great ideas in the works. So Corey, what's the latest and greatest at the church?
We'll be opening up our cafe on Monday as like a sneak peek trial thing, and then Tuesday will be like legit open, and then the following Sunday we will have our first in-person service with a whole lot of different barriers. We won't have kid stuff just at first, but we'll have people here, and so that's exciting.
Yeah, a lot of great things going on there. For someone that they know Corey from the I Love Kidmin podcast, they know Corey from I Love Kidmin, but they've never really checked out your church website. What's the church website?
Citystation.org says everything about the church as well as all of our different businesses and stuff.
Gotcha. Citystation.org.
Yep.
Citystation.org. Corey, we've been talking today. I didn't really intend for it to go this direction, but it kind of has, where today we've been talking about vision and how God will sometimes retool your vision, especially during times like this, reshape it. I start by talking about being willing to act on your vision, and where God gives a vision, he gives a provision. He's going to come alongside of you to help you. One thing that I really admire about you, and I know we've even talked about this on the phone over the last week, is your pastor. And you've got a great relationship, Corey, with your pastor. Yeah. And you are a great supporter of his vision. And I thought, if you're up to it, would you take a couple minutes and talk to us about how can we champion our pastor's vision? How can we come alongside our pastor especially during a time like this when maybe he needs us more than he ever has? Thoughts?
Yeah, my pastor's name is Shannon. He's a dude with a girl's name, and recognizes that. And
he owns it. And,
he has really good vision. Like, just God gifts him with this. Here's where we're at now. Here's where we're going. And he often trusts me to help him figure out, all right, so if we're here and going here, how do we move along this path? And so I love partnering with him. I love coming alongside of him. I'm not a great number one. I'm not a visionary that sees this direction. I'm a great number two. I can carry out that vision. And so for me, a lot of it starts with communication. I need to be around him. I need to lean in when he's talking. Jim Weidman, mentor, friend. I don't know if I can ever talk without mentioning him, because he has impacted me huge. He talks about his 3 big priorities, that he has his personal relationship with Christ, his relationship with his family, and then his pastor's problems. And I love thinking about that as my 3rd priority, that what my pastor's problems are my problems, and I can help alleviate those problems. I can help give maybe more information or wisdom into whatever he's dealing with. And so if you think about it right now, Ryan, the world's crazy and changing, and he's got things on his plate that I imagine any lead pastor would just be like, having another person there to help brainstorm it, to help work through it would just be huge. And so it's scheduling some time, not to sit there and talk about your problems, but to know what your pastor's heart is and what he's working on right now. And I don't think you can help until you know.
Corey, what would you say to someone who, Shannon is a great visionary leader. You're right. He really, he's relational. What would you say to someone whose pastor just isn't relational, or maybe they're introverted, or maybe they prefer to just be in their office with their door shut? I mean, any encouragement to someone who's like, man, I'd love to help my pastor more, but I just don't know that he wants it, or he's not very warm toward me or friendly.
I would just try to speak his language. And so there's some people that are in the personality test, they love graphs, they love stats. And so I would be trying to figure out, all right, what are some of those metrics? What are some of those things that I can lean into to help him with? Right now, if you have that pastor that might not be super relational, like that kind of stuff, maybe he cares about what are live stream numbers, what's true engagement on live stream, and then what are we going to do to increase those? You could lean into those kind of things. I would also want to over communicate in this time with him, and it's not a sit down and let's talk kind of a thing, but maybe I write up a little report of, hey, right now in the kids ministry, we're doing these different initiatives and we're reaching these different goals, and just over communicating what that is, so that then he knows that you're actually working, that you're going towards something.
I think that's
he can
good
speak
advice.
into it. And so I'd give him a lot of that information.
I think that's good. Communicate. And I guess if I was going to be guilty of, some people, I've heard people say, well, don't communicate too much to your pastor, he's busy. But if I was going to be guilty of either over communicating or under communicating, I'd probably want to get in trouble for over communicating. You know what I mean? Any other thoughts?
I would just say listen to what he cares about. And so I heard our lead pastor, he was talking about just how many people feel lonely right now. And he kept saying words like that were like, I'm hearing what he's saying, and maybe he hasn't put a plan into action, but I hear his heart. And so then we go, okay, well, what can we do to come alongside of that? And as a church, we started to call everybody that we had a phone number for. And it was an intimidating project to be like, all right, thousands and thousands of people. And so you just set a goal of 150. And if every staff member was going to call 150, then we'd be able to knock it out over a couple of weeks and make it happen. I would just I would want to challenge people. Are you that kind of person that is going to get it done for the sake of getting it done? Are you going to lean into that and actually try to make disciples and actually accomplish something? And then if you say, I'm going to give 110% to this church or whatever, did you make 150 phone calls, or did you make 165 phone calls?
That's a good point.
Math.
Yep.
Yeah. And so listen to what he's thinking, listen to what he's saying. If you're on board, like be on board as much as you can. Be that ideal team player that is stepping up, being hungry, humble, and smart. I love that word, by the way. You should read it.
Give us one final word of encouragement to support your pastor's vision during this time.
I would encourage him. It's lonely in ministry. It's lonely at the top. You hear all those things all the time. And so does your pastor know that you care for him? Have you shown up unpredictably? Have you shown up and said, here's a meal? Have you sent him a message? Because there's so many lead pastors right now that have never done Facebook Live, and they're like, I don't know what's going on here. Have you said, hey, you did good with that? Like, don't be discouraged. Have you done that? And then Ryan, I actually want to give you the last thing for this one. I hear you say it all the time. Colossians 3 might have something to do with this here. And I know, like, I'm here serving my pastor and helping him out, but ultimately he's not the final authority boss. So maybe you have something that you could share to wrap this up.
Colossians 3:23. Yeah. Whatever you do it. The King James. I memorized it in King James a long time ago. Do it heartily. Put your whole heart into it, as unto the Lord and not unto man. Yeah. So you know what? Whether I am cleaning the toilets at the church, I've done plenty of times. I know you have, Corey. Whether you are cleaning up a kid's mess, it's not yours, throw up. You're the first one there, the last one to leave. You're doing something for your pastor that you think, I don't get paid to do this, but you're doing it. You're visiting somebody that are making phone calls to people that you wonder if they really deserve a phone call. I mean, let's be honest. You're doing it as unto the Lord and not unto man.
Amen.
Corey, lightning round 3 questions. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, brother.
Okay. Am I asking them or are you asking them?
Note. Favorite carry out right now? Favorite carry out?
Kathy's Asian fusion. The lady is crazy. You'd have to picture that, like, no soup for you person from Seinfeld, but she's also loving. So, like, she invited me into her kitchen the last time I went, which was so weird. But it's good food, and she's a fireball. I don't know the best way to say that. She's
That's
crazy,
awesome.
but I love her.
Okay.
She's also a one-woman show. So if you call, she's picking up, she's cleaning up, she's doing everything. It's crazy. I think the church could learn something from a lady like that.
You know what? Probably so. Okay. Favorite book or podcast that you've listened to or read recently? Because I don't know if you're reading books or listening to podcasts.
I'm doing both. The book, it was one on Sabbath. I got to remember the title of it.
Okay, look it up.
But it helps with understanding, like, it's not a boundary thing that I need to do. It's not a check it off the list kind of a thing for me, but that I need to be living out of the overflow of the Sabbath and not living all Monday through Friday so that I can have my Sabbath. The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. And man, it kicked my tail, and I started to read it again. And so I would highly recommend.
In a minute, when we're done with this, we drop an Amazon link in, or the name of the book in the feed.
Absolutely.
Final question. Nice. Okay, final question. Corey, you've been making some games and videos for kidsmatter.com during this pandemic. The favorite one that your favorite one, the one that you've had the most fun making?
Most fun making. It was also probably the most frustrating one making. I like the make it or break it game. Yeah, just timing all of that out was frustrating, but it was so fun. And then you posted yesterday a church doing it and the guys commentating over it, and I was like, how awesome is that to see another church using the game
John
as
McLennan
intended? And it just fit so good. I watched the whole service, actually. It was really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was so pumped John McLennan did that. Make it or break it, Volume 1 and Volume 2.
2 options for you.
Man, those are fun games. Okay, let's do something quick. Okay, let me share my screen again, and we're going to wrap up the coffee chat. Okay, it's under games. So you need to go to games. And then, okay. Which one should I show, Corey? If I was just going to show about 1 minute of one of these. Number 2. Okay.
Number 2.
Let's go make it or break it 2. Now check this out. Corey did a great job. Make it or break it. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Hate it. I love this. Corey, you did a great job with that. And there are, in Make It or Break It, there are 6 rounds, if you want to call them rounds, in volume 1 and 6 rounds in volume 2. And they're different. They're ATVs, skateboards.
And I appreciate you doing those backflips. It made it way easy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you know what? It took me a little time, but I'm super glad when I made that flip. I knew I had to land just right, or it was going to hurt. So, wow. Corey Jones, love you, brother.
Love you too. Nice talking to you today.
Thanks for joining me. Friends, it's been a great coffee chat. Thank you, Tish. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Corey Jones. Thank you, Andy, for being on the other side of the computer, putting all this together. If you have any questions for me or topic ideas for further coffee chats, please text 833-792-6372. I love doing these coffee chats. I love you. I love Kidmen. Y'all are amazing, amazing people. If you missed a coffee chat, here's the best way to catch it. Go to my YouTube. If you go to ryanfrank.com, there are links to all of the, now I can't find anything I wanted to show you. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you'll find a link to my YouTube. You can also catch it on the podcast. We're putting these recordings on my podcast. All of those links are at ryanfrank.com. Be blessed. I love Kidman. It's been a great coffee chat. We will see you tomorrow.